Welcome to the Merge Boot Podcast.
It seems today that all you see remix. You better be ready. It's Survivor on Paramount Plus. They're coming for you. We want to talk about Survivor.
This song sucks.
I tried. I don't know. Okay, I'm Joel Edmiston. Let's get it out of the way. I'm Joel Edmiston.
I'm Cody Crane.
And I'm Chris George.
And we have a very special Survivor-themed episode for you today. And spoilers ahead, it's going to be a little weird. And that's why the theme song was a little weird today. And also, it was a little weird because Chris George told me to sing the Winners at War theme song, and I forgot to do it. And so partway through, I changed it to the Winners at War theme song.
Also,
I didn't believe you forgot. I thought you were just psyching me out because you said you weren't going to do it. So I was disappointed and then so overjoyed when that twist happened. A regular Survivor twist.
Yeah, the Edge of Extinction style.
also, I forgot that I do the intros.
Yeah,
so it's just silent at the top.
Yeah, we'll have to cut
weird. Weird
actually
episode.
leave it in so people think that something's wrong with their phone.
Yeah, they're be like, "Wait, is it playing?" It's 5 minutes and he still hasn't said anything, and I just hear Joel's hand waving in the air towards him.
That's pretty good if they can identify what the sound is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
maybe,
Joel's hand.
Well,
maybe, classic Joel's hand.
This is a new thing too. Is I have to commit to it now. Is that this is going to be the first episode up on the Merge Boot YouTube page. So people will be able to see that.
MergeTube.
So people are going to be seeing us right now. So
go to www.mergetube.com.
Don't go to that website. That's probably not very good. MergeTube, it's like Cronenberg body horror porn.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it would be.
But let's talk about what we're doing today. So Survivor is of course a TV show. It's a song by Beyonce, but also it's a fun TV show. And we watch the show, and obviously you watch it for the great players and gameplay and the challenges and the intrigue, but you also watch it for the weirdos. And certainly we're three comedy people, and we get a lot of kicks out of weird, strange people on Survivor. So today we're doing a screen drafts style. Credit to screen drafts.
Stop crediting them.
Why?
It's just a draft. It's just
we stole their idea.
Anyway, don't tell them that. We are doing what we did last week. We created the definitive list of, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago, we created the definitive list of the top 15 Survivor contestants of all time. Today,
and you all saw how good that went.
Yeah. Honestly,
it was so stupid.
Honestly,
so bad.
If you looked at that list, you would have thought it was the Weirdos list. And now we are doing the top 12 weirdos, going back and forth, ranking them. And to start us off to figure out what the draft order will be with us, we have to do trivia. Isn't that right, Joel?
Yeah, so I'm going to start out the trivia to you guys, and whoever wins competes with me because I get the bye because Cody got the bye last week.
Yeah, and you were the big loser last week.
Yeah.
And I was the big winner. Can we, in case you didn't listen, I was a big winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the whole reason that list was so fucked up last week is because you wanted to put Tony at number 9.
He deserved it.
Okay, so my trivia question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cody?
Yep.
In Survivor Season 11, Guatemala, the episode before the merge, there's a birthday party. Whose birthday is it?
Oh, probably Bobby Joe's.
Not even a person.
Bobby John is what you mean.
Bobby John. It was Bobby John's birthday.
I want to say it was the zookeeper's birthday. Cindy? that right?
Nope.
Was it Stephanie Gonzalez's birthday or something?
Judd. Was it Judd?
It wasn't Judd.
Cody, you get another guess?
Danny Boatwright's birthday or something?
Oh, I know who it was. It was
Did-
it was Brian's birthday.
Sorry, Cody got it there.
Oh, well, I guess I didn't know who it was.
It's
I thought
Danny.
it was Brian's birthday, and then he got friggin' booted.
It's Danny Boatwright's birthday.
Looks like I'm running the gauntlet, baby.
That wasn't a very exciting question. Sorry, you guys just listed the answers. I should have only gave you one guess.
Well, no, someone's got to get it.
Yeah, you're right. I could have.
Well, that's
thought
okay.
of another question.
I think. Well, this one's going to be. I think you both will know the answer to this one. So be ready on the quick draw.
You better be ready.
But Chris, just to let you know, you're the big loser.
Yeah, I am the big loser.
Yeah, and you're saying before you got a mic that you really wanted number one.
I really, really wanted number one because I really wanted to put my best weirdo in the top spot, but unfortunately, they will have to reside as number three. Okay, so I've got a trivia question for you, and get ready because
They're coming for you.
and shout out the answer when you think you know it. Where I'm going with this, because you can potentially predict. In season 7, Pearl Islands, Rupert had a pet. What was its name?
Oh, Barbosa. Barboa. Barbacoa. Barbarossa.
You're very close.
I know. Barboa.
Barbara. Barboa.
Barbera.
It's not
Rocky.
It's not Barboa.
Baboa. Bababooey.
There's literally one letter to be changed.
The first letter? Carbora?
Braboa.
Bamboa? Blabloa?
It seems like I'm gonna have to look up another question unless someone can shout it out.
Barboa. Well, it's Barboa.
No, it's one letter difference.
Barstoa? Barcoa?
No,
Banoa.
not. It's the third letter you have to change.
The third letter.
Badoa.
Bomboa.
Bamoa. Bazoa. Bayoa. Batoa.
Oh,
Basoa.
This is a weird episode, isn't it?
Basoa. Bawoa.
Balboa.
Balboa is the correct answer.
Oh.
His pet snake, Balboa, and then he gets so sad when Balboa dies and they bury him.
But some people say that Rupert is the reason that snake died.
I mean, arguably, that's probably very true.
You know what's weird is that in my head I was like, it's Rocky's last name. And Joel said Barboa, and I was like, it's not Rocky Barboa?
Okay, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna count them down one at a time. So we're gonna make one list together of the best Survivor weirdos. And we're gonna start. And so that means Cody's gonna go in the number 12 spot. Is that right? Or am
No,
I gonna?
You go number 12. You get the first pick and the last pick. So you decide number 12 and 1.
And you'd get 5 and 6 as well.
And are we doing it so we each get each get a veto as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
My prediction is this is not going to be as a contentious list as last week.
I'm pissed off already.
Okay.
Well, as long as Rocky Balboa is on the list, we're cool.
Okay, so
that pet was weird.
So I'm going to start with my number 12. Obviously, there's people on this list we know are going to be on there. I wanted to have a pick that would be surprising. And the funny thing is there's an obvious person that this list is totally based around, but this person that I'm picking is somebody who hates that person and doesn't call him by the name that he wants to be called by. She calls him Benjamin. And so I'm going with Stacy Powell. of who has a classic rant, who doesn't have much of an edit in her season, but has a classic rant that's one of my favorite Survivor seasons, where she doesn't like coaches Chucky the Cheese jokes or Halloween jokes. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And it's very strange. And if you haven't seen that clip on YouTube or in the show Survivor, I say you check it out. So number 12 is Stacy Powell for me.
Is she a weirdo? I guess we should talk about like what we consider the weirdo is defined by our lists.
I don't know if she herself is a weirdo, but that rant,
I love that speech so much.
That rant ranks up there as one of the strangest moments in Survivor.
I think Stacy's more so dealing with a weirdo.
I think Stacy is incredible, and that speech is very funny. But I don't know if that like throws her into like what if my kind of justification for this is if I look at a person, I go, yeah, they're friggin' weird, then they'd be on my list.
Then you might have a problem with some of my list, because I'm going it off of, if I met this person, I would have so much fun talking with them, because they're just strange people.
What's your list? It's just like Brad Culpepper. It's pretty weird that he played football, huh?
Stacy,
Jeremy Collins, pretty weird.
Who
he loves
says
his family.
Chucky the Cheese jokes and Halloween jokes?
Benjamin.
Yeah, the bench. Yeah, it's so funny, and just like I can't, like, if I had the speech in front of me, there's so much of it is in her facial expressions and her like shaking her head and going and stopping a sentence midway through. It's just so good. I wish I could like do a dramatic reading of it someday.
Now, Chris, you said you didn't really care about your veto for this. You told me offhand about it. And I mean, this might be the one to veto.
Now I'm automatically rethinking my stance on vetoing, because
don't veto Stacy Powell. She deserves to be on this list.
She deserves to be on a list.
We're 12. We're not even doing 15 this time.
She deserves to be on a list of like top people. She's
one of my favorite pre-merge boots. Like, if you asked me like offhand, who would you want to see come back from Survivor a pre-merge boot, it would be Stacy Powell. I want to see this woman do crazy shit on Survivor, because she would just blow it up. I think if we had a longer edit with her, she would be still.
I think she was pretty level-headed. Honestly, she was stuck in a tribe of weirdos, like Coach's cult, and I don't know. I just feel I don't know if she's weird.
All right, are you going to veto it?
Perfectly legitimate. I think she's great.
Mm-hmm.
But if I feel like I need to hold on to my veto for whatever when Joel puts Hayden as first.
Yeah. My thing here is that, like, to me, a weirdo, they have to like really stand out to me, I think. And I feel like I'm having a hard time even placing Stacy, and I watched this season like pretty recently.
Their whole persona it needs to be a bit larger.
That's why I put her at number 12. I'm not going to be heartbroken if you veto. I love Stacy Powell, and I do think that it is one of the strangest moments in Survivor.
She's gotten her shout out now.
Yeah.
If you honestly, Joel, I would use your own veto on this one.
Yeah,
I'm not using my own veto.
If you wanted to do that, that would really be good.
Because I mean, I get it. You want Stacy to be on one of these lists. You like Stacy. This isn't a list for her, Joel.
I think it is.
Veto yourself. Save us all the trouble.
I'm not vetoing myself.
I think we'll put Stacy on like top Survivor moments. You know, she could make that list.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be more lists here. Like, we're doing this for a long time.
Then veto me. Enough with the chitter chatter. Fucking show me. Put your money where your mouth is.
I'll use my veto. I don't give a shit. I'll use my veto. Get this garbage off my list.
Yeah, good, Cody. You're
justice for Stacy Powell. Wow,
you're doing. I mean, let's be clear. Heidi Strobel deserves to be on the best players list more than Stacy Powell deserves to be on a weirdos list. I think we can all agree on that.
I disagree with that. Okay, so my next pick.
Stacy Powell makes one Chuck E. Cheese joke. Now she's all of a sudden the biggest,
weirdest Survivor player.
Chucky the Cheese joke. Okay.
Well, because she doesn't know the name of Chuck E. Cheese's. Jesus Christ.
I still want my number 12 pick to be an idiosyncratic pick. This is more of a popular player. She played more times than Stacy, and obviously had a much bigger edit. But I don't know that she would have been on your radar for this list. So I'm going with Abby Maria from Survivor Philippines and Survivor Second Chances.
Yeah, she's weird.
Yeah, she wasn't on my list, but I can see that she's weird.
All-time great moments is when she calls redacted Michael Skupin an idiot twice, an idiot once, and a moron twice.
And honestly,
as Jeff Probst says,
she hit Michael Skupin in the head with a coconut.
Yeah.
She's the star.
Yeah, if you hit a pedophile in the head with a coconut, you should have won the game. Honestly, I would have voted for her to win.
She gets so shamed for those events in the game, but looking back, that's aged well. Good for you, Abby.
Sia should give her an award.
I mean, yeah, I think Abby wasn't on my radar because I don't think she's necessarily like weird. I think there's a difference between weird and like being like a large character. I think she's a large character, but I don't think she's like particularly weird. But I think it's fine. I'm fine with her being on the list by like some definition of weird.
The question of what's funny about Abby is that the question of self-awareness comes up a lot in her discussion in the show. Like, I think the same sort of thing happens with Natalie Cole, because you can tell with her and Natalie Cole is that they are there. They are making these decisions. They are kind of they know what's going on, but they are still just blowing it up. So I like Abby Marie. I would love to see her play again just because she's such a firecracker in the game. And she's the kind of GOAT that can never be an actual GOAT because she's such a liability. So you have to vote her out before.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to drag her to the end.
I'd love to be on a season with her though, and I'd love to be in an alliance with her, because I feel like if you can earn Abby Maria's trust, like she'll kill everyone else, and if you can be that one person that like is
one of the only people that have done that properly is Kelly Wentworth.
Yeah,
that's why I think.
Well, that's why Kelly Wentworth's gonna be top of my list. Weirdo.
Yeah, for Survivor Weirdos.
Yeah, I think Chris is right with like big characters being different than a weirdo. I can accept Abby Marie on this list more than I can accept Stacy Powell. So I'm excited about this veto.
Yeah, I think it was a great veto, Cody.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel good about that because like I mean, there's people like you brought up Natalie Cole too, like great moment. I wouldn't necessarily call her a weirdo, like but had some great moments, and I can now see on Joel's face that she's high on the list.
She's not on my list.
Oh, okay. But now it's my turn, number 11, and honestly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this gentleman on the podcast at all in an episode. And if you're a new listener and this is your first episode, you might be like, that guy's not weird. He was a hunk in his first season. He was a absolute challenge beast in his first season. And we've seen him in so many seasons since. Well, I'll tell you, the DMs that I got from this man, they were weird. And that's why I got to put Ozzy on the list. You send me a DM saying that you're going to the beach jerking off on some rocks. Let me tell you, that's weird. I don't care what you did on the show. That part's weird.
I watched him at Cook Islands last week, and Ozzy, there is something a little off about him. Like when he talks to people, he's not really listening to them. He is a strange person. So I'll give it to you. Sure.
I knew you were gonna put Ozzy on. I thought he would be higher on your list. I know how those DMs affected you.
Well, I know
for the sake of Merge Boot.
Because I don't want to get it mixed up. I don't think sex work is weird, but I think Ozzy specifically is weird. There's a lot of people.
It is weird that he's never sort of been like hey, I know this is wild, but I got an OnlyFans. It's just like, hey, I have an OnlyFans and you can watch me jack off.
Well, it's not only that. If you were watching Survivor, and you, especially now, you got Paramount Plus, you're like, I'll watch an old season. You're like, whoa, I like this guy. I like this Aussie guy. Wonder what he's up to. You go to his Twitter, just an uncensored picture of his dick. You see his big hog, and it's pinned. It's the first tweet that you see. There's no self-awareness there.
Yeah.
We're getting into it.
I think with Ozzy, I mean, you've seen him fall apart over the seasons too. I think being proven that a challenge beast can't win, even though that's what he always wanted to do, and he's proven that it can't happen with him, it made him fall apart. Made him fall apart, and the only wins he can get is messaging me to pay for him jerking off on some rocks.
Just to get it back to Survivor, it's funny to see him play Survivor 4 times. It is to sort of outside the like the cult of Ozzy and just like the way it is. It's just weird, especially in South Pacific. It's just like to watch this man who so clearly doesn't get the game and just be watching it and being like, why are people believing this man? You know what I mean? Why are people going along with this man?
It's because he's got this intensity about him, and I think that's what brings him back, and that's what has kept him going. Like, you think about, he's willing to make these. He wants. I think Ozzy's like really aware of potentially aware of his image that he wanted to portray as like this sort of hero figure, and he is like a hero figure. I remember watching South Pacific for the first time, and I was really cheering for Ozzy because he puts himself maroons himself on this island. He sends himself to exile, and then you have these shots of him like climbing trees and being like, I'm gonna do this. I don't know, there's just like there's a lone wolf intensity where he relates better to the island than he does the people
and the fish.
Yeah.
It's how every time he gets voted out, it's always, wow, good luck catching fish.
He's mean in that season.
He's mean in all 4 of his seasons, to be honest. Like, even in Cook Islands, he's a dick.
You think so?
Yeah, he throws the challenge to vote out Billy, and Billy's such a nice teddy bear.
Billy's weird. Honestly, Billy could have made this list.
Billy's on my short list, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Billy.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if you vetoed Stacy Powell, like, Stacy's weirder than Billy. But
no,
anyway,
Billy fell in love on a day on the island from one person. Making a very short comment.
It is really funny. The weirdest, maybe not the weirdest, but the dumbest Aussie moment is when he sends himself to Redemption Island.
On his acting?
Yeah, and he does this sort of like performance of like, and Cochran, you standing up and playing your idol. I'm out. I'm a free agent now. Like, what a dumb story. What if everybody just turned against you? That would be better.
Yeah. Or I love the move, but also you should have sent Cochran, because like, read the room that Stacy Powell's friend, I forget what her name is. Christina, who's awesome, who I'd love to see play again.
It might just be Christine.
Christine, I think it's Christine, yeah. She clearly was not going to go back to her tribe when she was voted out first. Like,
yeah,
that's the number you could have used.
Her tribe is like cheering against her or whatever at the Redemption Island things.
Yeah. All right, so that's number 11, Ozzy, the big friggin' weirdo.
We've talked a lot about South Pacific today.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing of all.
Well, keep it going, Chris. Keep it going with who should be said next.
Brandon Hance.
I mean, South Pacific has a lot. I got Albert and Burton on my short list here.
Burton's not even on South Pacific.
He might as well be. I saw his spirit.
A ghost of Burton.
Okay, yeah. So for when I was thinking about weirdos, I didn't want to pick anybody who I actively didn't like. So even if they are weird, I'm not going to put them on the list just because I don't like talking about them. So I tried to gravitate towards people who I liked, or who I liked their presence on screen. And I think the person who I'm thinking of, you can say he's a weird guy, but he's also one of the most charming players I think to ever play the game. And and am so excited to see this player play again. I don't think there's any chance of him winning because he is so liked and he has such an incredible personality, and he's just like a fun, weird guy that'll play in the sand with you if you want, and that's Christian Hubicki.
I like it.
He's a weirdo. He embodies like the geek, the nerd. He's a weirdo, but I love him.
Yeah, we definitely have completely different views on this list.
I agree with Chris's 100% here.
Weird. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm gonna try and not argue with you guys. I like Christian a lot.
You don't think he's a weirdo?
I just think he's a nerd. I think
fair.
he's an interesting guy, but I don't think he's.
I think like weird being outside the norm, right?
Yeah, and weird isn't necessarily a bad thing, right?
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing either, but it is for me it does come down to a lot with like self-awareness, how they perceive themselves coming off, you know what I mean? Like it's like I don't know, I feel like Christian like kind of
I think he's got great self-awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But I don't think you need a lack of self-awareness to be weird.
Right. Okay.
You can know you're weird.
I think he just be. I think it's because he embraces his own sort of quirkiness and his personality, which is why he's so lovable, right?
I'm not gonna. I'm happy to talk about them. He's the biggest slam dunk in terms of like returning cast. Like still, we're a few seasons out of that season, and like he's still like looking back, it's like for the last like 10 seasons or so, there's not been that much of a slam dunk in terms of that guy needs to come back.
Yeah, in terms of popularity and
just like how they just crackled on screen. As soon as he was on screen, it was just like, oh yeah, fuck, this guy is like,
it's incredible.
It's already a great season, but he puts it up like a whole star rating. Like it's that like he's that good on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean this is a kind of like a perfect pick. It embodies embracing your weirdness as well and making it into a positive. And I think that was a big thing that he did in there. And his kind of comfortability in his weirdness really brought out like Gabby too, and like made her feel more comfortable, I think, and like brought, I think by the end brought like more confidence to her too. And I think that that was a cool thing about Christian, is that he was just so comfortable and confident in who he was and how he was weird, and knowing that he was weird, and it just made it into a complete positive. And I think that it shined on the island and made everyone else feel more confident as well.
He's one of these guys that on day one looks like such a fucking nerd, and then at the end he's fucking so hot. Like he gets his beard and his cheekbones jut out, and like he's just like sexy as hell all of a sudden. It's like, what the hell? And you look at his Instagram, he's got this like when he's clean shaven and he's got his glasses on, you're like, who fuck is this nerd? Get away from me, you weird fucking robotics kid. And then when
is that the reaction?
You see him with a beard and he's like jacked, it's like, and jacked. He's facing Alec on the challenge. It's just like, oh my god, this is the sexiest man ever to play Survivor.
I don't having an awakening here.
Yeah, it's the biggest day one to day whatever like glow up of Survivor history.
I agree in a way, because I know that like with the like the after show or whatever, I forget what it's called. What's
the reunion?
The reunion, right? So for the reunion,
fucking idiot.
It's been a while, okay. So for the reunion, I mean,
yeah,
Christian
been a while since
worse.
Anybody has reunited. Like it's been a fucking more than a year since we lost the word reunion.
The reunion though, Christian looks worse than he did on the island. To me, I like on the island. That's where I agree. I'm not quite as harsh as Joel. I'm not like, get the fuck away from me.
I think he looks worse on the jury. Like when he shaves and he's on the jury, He just looks so much better with it. We're three men with a beard.
Maybe you just love beards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're looking at us, you're like, holy shit, look at these beards. But if we shave, you'd be like, get away from us, nerds.
Yeah.
I will say, did you guys know robotics? We had a robotics club at our high school. And
Did I know of robotics?
no,
did I-
like no
Never met 'em.
robotics kids growing up.
Robotics kids.
Because robotics kids growing up were the biggest fucking nerds. Like in an unabashed, confident way. Like they're a bunch of like Christian Hubicki types that are just like, yeah, I'm a fucking nerd. I'm a robotics kid. And by the way, I was friends with some of these guys. So
Yeah, all the robotics kids used to make robots that gave me wedgies and stuffed me in my locker, poured milkshakes on my head.
yeah, you're even worse than them.
Yeah, I was bullied by the robotics kids. But yeah, on the island, he looked like Greg Kinnear.
Yeah, or like Kevin Kline.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as Kevin Kline.
They both could play him in the Christian Hubicki biopic that Paramount Plus has.
That's what we need right now. That's what we need to unite us all.
Joel, I feel like you remember Christian being super jacked on the island, like just like more jacked than
No.
Johnny Mundo.
I was joking about the jack thing. Yeah, I see him as like SpongeBob when he takes the thing. It's just like huge.
Just like, yeah. Anyway, so that's my number 10 pick. I think heck, the theme of that season, David versus Goliath, was an embodiment of misfits and weirdos, and showing how that the underdogs and the misfits can rise up.
Yeah,
and
the
that's why I
David
wanted
tribe
to have,
thank us how to be weird.
yeah,
That it was
that's why
okay
I wanted
to be
to have him
weird.
on the list. I didn't want to have him super high because I think there are much weirder contestants out there, but I wanted to give him as like a nice honorable mention to kind of start us off.
That's what I was doing with Stacy Powell, and you guys were like,
Oh,
no,
thank
no,
you.
veto, fuck you.
If you wanted to start us off with a real bang, you would have picked Greg Buis
Or Greg Kinnear.
or Greg Kinnear.
Greg Buis is more just funny than he is weird.
He's the OG weirdo.
Yeah, I guess. They did weird him out. They were all like, who the fuck is this guy with his phone?
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my number 10, Christian.
Whose pick is it now, Cody?
I think it's mine.
Yeah. So it goes right back to Chris here.
Okay. Now let's get weird. All right. Let's get weird. You know what? I don't really want to put this person on the list because I think there are weirder characters out there, but this person made such an impact as one of the most memorable first boots, and I'm not talking about Zane Knight.
Oh, I was like, oh yeah, Zane Knight, great pick.
Yeah, Zane is great, but this is one of the weirdest first boots. I mean, the first boot is often kind of a misfit, and that's the reason that they're the first boot, is because they're unable to mesh with whatever tribe they're on, and they're kind of ostracized. And they like the first boot is generally everyone doesn't want to be the first boot, and so you pick off whoever is, out of the loop. This is the weirdest first boot in my opinion, not because they were booted first, but because even when I looked up their real name, I don't remember it, and I looked it up yesterday because they will forever live in my head as Chicken. And
Damn!
Chicken from Survivor China.
Damn!
Yeah,
That's
that's
voted out. Damn!
I mean, you watch that episode and it's like, he's just kind of a hard ass at camp. And then when he gets voted out, you're like, oh my God, what a strange man. When he yells, damn. Like, what the hell? Who is this guy?
He's just a weird guy. I mean, anyone who's like, call me Chicken instead of their name, it's just, you're weird.
Yeah, he's definitely like making them call him Chicken is a weird thing. But the thing that makes him in the echelon of Survivor weirdos is him yelling "damn" when he gets voted out.
Yeah,
as if he didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too is that they vote him out, and he was like, obviously a hard ass at camp, but like he's the one that knows everything. He's like a farmer and like an outdoorsman, and he would have been a great asset at camp, but they were like, this man is too annoying.
Yeah,
we need to get him out.
He didn't handle it well at all. And if you watch it, he's saying that he knows everything, but he's just wandering around the camp. Like you never actually see him trying to do everything.
Right.
Like every time you see a clip of him, he's like wandering around and just talking about how they're not letting him do anything, and they're like, no, come show us, and he's just like, you don't let me do anything.
They should do a Redemption Island season. Instead of Rob versus Russell, it's Chicken versus PG.
Anyway, yeah, that's. I mean, there's not much more to say about Chicken because he only lasted 3 days. But
I thought maybe you were gonna go with that mouse voiced girl from Nicaragua. The one just like, nobody
Wendy
asked me
Jo?
my age. What's her name?
Wendy Jo.
Wendy
She
Jo.
was on my short list. I have her as an honorable mention. She was, I think, like a goat herder, and then she just like talks and talks and talks. She's weird.
Well, no.
But-
What's funny is that like her not talking is what gets her voted out. When she and then at Tribal, you were like, oh, she's a spark plug, and she's like, my husband told me that if I keep talking, I'll get voted out. And then not talking gets her voted out.
Yeah. She's a great pick, but I think Chicken edges her out. So
Damn.
So now it's me here with number 8, and honestly, we're getting into the nitty gritty. I think the big part about last time is we didn't put the heavy hitters, and a lot of people got missed. This time, I don't want to skip out on any heavy hitters. I got to put Tarzan right here and make sure he makes this list.
Tarzan was on my short list.
Tarzan with the underwear on his head.
He puts the underwear on his head. He's was he boiling his socks or boiling his underwear?
He was boiling his. He's very underwear centric.
Yeah, it was his underwear as well. Boiling in.
It's not poop.
Tarzan from One World. For those who don't know, I mean, you gotta know he's weird.
Yeah. And of course, there's Troyzan saying he can't be Tarzan. I'm Troyzan. This is my island. It's like, what the fuck?
Troyzan was also on my short list.
Troyzan wasn't on my short list. I love Troyzan.
I think Troyzan is underrated weird. He's weird, especially like the finale when the finale of Game Changers, when he realizes if it was a tie vote between Sarah and Culpepper, then he would have had the deciding vote, and he stands up and gets everyone to applaud him.
I do like that because it's like but to be honest, it shows a bit of self-awareness in Troyzan because he knew that he was going to lose in final tribal council, which Mike Scoopin can't say, which Russell Hans can't say. So like him standing up there is him being like, oh, finally I get my moment. And it's like a moment it's honestly a self-deprecating joke in my opinion. And what I saw it as.
I take it as like I'm getting some cheers here. I'm getting a cheap pop.
No, I think it's more along the lines. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Joel, who put Hayden on the previous list. But here we are. This is weird.
Honestly, Joel, your next pick should be you.
Oh, that's my number 1.
But yeah, Tarzan deserves to be on this list from the auction where he wanted to save his auction money to fix his truck.
Yeah. That's just smart. That's what I'd do.
It's kind of a touching moment how much he loves his wife, but also it's so fucking weird. It's like we have a quantum entanglement when my wife touched her feet upon this beach. It's like, Jesus, fucking calm down, dude. Like
everybody else is like, man, I want a husband like Tarzan. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, no, you don't. It's a little much. Another Tarzan moment, which is great, is when he goes up to Chelsea and says, I know why you don't like me. It's because you have resentment towards plastic surgeons because of the botched boob job you got.
I'd forgotten that, but yeah.
Like, she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Don't talk about my boobs.
Yeah, Tarzan often in that season got like on the verge of cancelment. And yeah, he just ends up being a funny person to look back on.
Yeah, he's a good character and he's friggin' weird.
Yeah, that I just had to make sure he made it on the list, and I think this is a good spot too. Is he a home run? No, but god damn it if he isn't a base hitter.
All right, so I'm going at number 7 right now. Is that right?
you get 7 and 6.
Okay, cool. So My number 7 pick is a season from a season we talked about earlier.
Wait, Joel, before you do this, you have the chance of putting those two brothers on, right? 7 and 6.
Oh, the
You're
Christie
Christy
brothers,
and Al, Christy.
Alec and Drew.
You have the chance here. 7 and 6. Rattle them off, baby. I just want that to be in your head that with back-to-back picks, you got the chance of putting them both.
Well, I am a manipulator of this game and basically a badass. So, my number 7 pick is from Guatemala, which is a season of weirdos. There's a lot of strange people on that season. The goats basically run the season. I watched a bunch of it last night. It's a great season. I really like it. But my number 7 pick is Judd, who is one of the funniest, like greatest, like blow up people. Like he's kind of normal, and then he just like when you set him off, it's just like, who is this man? Like where did this man come from? It's
Hope
so
you
funny.
all get eaten by a friggin' crocodile.
Yeah. There's that great moment. There's a moment where he blows up at tribal council against this woman named Margaret, who we haven't seen much of their relationship, but it all comes across in this tribal council where Margaret gets thrown out, where all of a sudden they have this bitter rivalry where apparently on the first day, Margaret comes up to him and says, "You have ADD." And that has sat with him so horribly. And he's like, "What do you mean? Who comes up to somebody and says you got ADD? I don't got ADD. ADD, man. What the hell? That's." And he says, "Damn." And he says, "Man," all the time. So I just love Judd.
You know, Judd wasn't even on my list, and I think it's because I also love Judd so much that everything he does in my head, I'm like, yeah, I get it, man.
Man,
I get it. You seem justified.
Well, it's funny too, is like because Jamie and Bobby John, who are weird people, were yelling at each other earlier that day. A lot of the talk at this tribal council is about good sportsmanship. And Margaret is like, "Yeah, well, we've had a bit of problems. Bobby John and Judd get a little hot-headed, and Judd's like, hot-headed? What are you talking about? I'm a good sportsmanship. What are you talking about, man? What kind of damn thing is that to say, man?"
She comes up to me and says, "I got ADD." Who says that?
And then he goes around. Honestly, I watched this tribal council last night, so it's fresh in my mind. But I know there's better other Judd moments along the season, but this is just what's fresh in my mind. Yeah. He goes along. She says, "You don't listen to people when they talk." He goes, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Cindy, do I listen to people when they talk?" Doesn't let her get a word out. Then he goes, "Bobby John, do I listen to people when they talk?" I love it.
Yeah, that's Judd. Judd is such a character. He would be on my like top characters list. But he is weird. He is a weirdo. I think he's more of a character than a weirdo, but that's such a tight distinction, right?
I think we definitely disagree on what this list is about, but we're making it together, so we have to.
You still have a veto.
No, I love Judd so much that like I'm not going to use it on Judd. He's a star. He's a great. What I love about that season 2 is that I believe Judd accidentally poisons his whole tribe because they all get sick at the beginning from after their long hike, and everybody's throwing up, and it's because they had 2 different pots of water, one that was boiled and was fresh, which had like the lid on it, and one that like needed to be boiled, and I've read that Judd accidentally switched the lid system, so everybody was drinking from like the unboiled, like tainted water and getting super sick and almost medevaced, which is also another great Judd addition to that season.
And later on, there's a point where there's like a missing beer because they all bring beer back, and they're like, "Who took an extra beer?" And Judd's like, "Yeah, who the hell took the beer, man?" And he's like so clearly drunk. It's like, "Whoever took the beer, we're gonna vote you out. We're gonna vote you out." And then everybody's in their confessional being like, "Judd for sure took that beer." And then in his confession is like, "I honestly don't remember. I probably did take the beer."
Yeah, I mean Judd's great. I have no problem with him being on the list. I can't veto him because I do really like him a lot, and I'm glad we've gotten a chance to talk about him.
I was watching last night. I'm like, holy hell, this seems like a slam dunk for return casting. Where the hell is Judd?
Yeah.
Like, bring back Judd for fans versus favorites. Like a few seasons later, I was like, wow, he's one of my favorite survivors now. He was just making me laugh so hard.
All right.
Guatemala, I
Joel.
think it's because Guatemala is kind of an underrated season. And I know Ryan Quinn loves Guatemala. That's why he was so high up on Danny Boatwright going into Winners of War.
Yeah, I mean, after Winners of War, I'm watching Guatemala and I'm being like, okay, maybe Danny Boatwright, in being this super underrated winner, is almost an overrated winner. But the season itself is an underrated season for sure. I think it's really fun.
I'm not a big Guatemala guy. I gotta say it, unpopular opinion right now, but
or kind of, depending on who you ask, kind of a popular opinion. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, again, I find myself agreeing with Joel. What is this? The weird survivor list? Seems pretty weird.
For me, it's a boring season. I find it really boring. I don't know if it's like just the scenery in that one or something, or like whatever, but
the scenery's so cool. Their camp is at pyramids. They're like literal, like ancient ruins.
Boring.
It's so cool.
Boring. I remember you see Bobby John coming off the steps. You see Stephanie Gonzalez coming up the steps.
Gonzalez, dude, it's La Grossa.
Oh, it's Stephanie La Grossa. Okay.
Stephanie Gonzalez from Ghost Island? Is that what?
Oh, right. You see Stephanie La Grossa. Yeah, see, I want to think about Ghost Island because that's a better season. All right, Joel, what's your sixth pick? What's your sixth pick?
Am I doing a double now? We're not.
Yeah, you're next, because then you get number one.
So I get 6 and then I get 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have a clear number 1 pick. My pick right now is someone I want to talk about, and I'm not sure he's going to be on your list, but I think he should be higher on this list. And we were talking about the Christie brothers, but it's not the Christie brothers, but he played with the Christie brothers. It's Keith Nail, one of my favorite weirdos. He's maybe overrated for some people because he gets talked about so much on these lists, but I just love him. I mean, it's so fun. Like, he's got this Southern dummy type and so bad at the game and blows it up, and he's just real fun.
I think Keith is fun. I don't know if Keith is a weirdo.
I don't think he's a weirdo. I think Wes is weirder than Keith. And I'll go as far as even saying that.
You know what? I know your love for Keith, and I figured he might be on this list for you.
So you saved the veto for him.
Yeah.
People are gonna be mad if you veto Keith Nail.
Yeah, but he's not. I don't think he's weird.
What are you talking about? You guys just fucking let Christian Hubicki on this list?
He's weird.
He's weird.
He knows he's weird.
Is Keith Nail? Keith Nail is.
He's a weird Survivor player. He stands out among other people. You put Chicken on the list.
He's a bad Survivor player. I put who on the list?
You put Chicken on the list. Keith is a weirder presence.
Weird.
Keith is a stranger presence in Survivor.
He's not strange
and changes up the game. What's that?
Take that back. Chicken is weirder than Keith.
I disagree.
Keith
veto.
Veto for real?
Yeah, Keith is more of just like country dad to me. Like, there's nothing really that.
I just wanted to have a dramatic reason to veto. I was going to veto it the whole time.
You're
okay.
Dude.
Wow. I'm really surprised by your guys' like reaction to my list.
I hate that pick, Joel. I hate it.
Well, I'm glad that I get to talk about this person because they got the short shrift 2 weeks ago when we did the best players list. They deserve to be way higher. So I'm going with Tony.
Oh, that was going to be my number 1.
Really?
And I don't know if I'd put I wouldn't put Tony on the list, but
fuck you.
I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to.
But Tony's weirder than Keith. I'll give you that.
Tony's weird.
So Tony is a strange person.
Tony's strange. He's not weird.
Oh my God. This is insane.
No,
I didn't
Tony's
think this
weird.
is the reason I picked this because I did not think it was going to be so contentious.
Joel, I completely agree with you. Tony is weird. He's not a good player. He's just weird. I agree.
I didn't say that.
Look what you've done.
Cody, how do you say? I want to go backwards because me and Chris didn't give you a hard enough time last week.
I think you did.
No, we really didn't.
No,
because at the end of the list, we were just.
a harder time with Hayden. I mean, honestly, Hayden being on that list at all is weird. Is Tony being at 15th would have been better than that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
here's what I heard when I put Tony on the list at his spot, at his accurate spot, and tried to put him there.
the
People
bottom
said,
of the winner rankings.
thank you.
This is about last week.
They
with
said
the top players of all time.
People messaged me. They said, "Thank you, Cody. Thank you for having the confidence to do this. Thank you for
one message.
Thank you for standing up for Sarah, because Sarah is better than Tony." People thanked me for that. They did. They messaged me.
Tony beat her twice. Tony actually beat her twice. But anyway,
yeah, Sarah beat her, or Sarah beat him.
Yeah, well,
and
they weren't even on the
weird.
same beach. That
I'll tell
time.
you this: you're not seeing Sarah on the weirdo list, but we're seeing Tony. So,
you might see Sarah. You've already used your veto, Cody.
Oh, no. What an insane! Joel still has a veto, and he's not going to let something like that happen. Sarah on the
put her at
weirdo
4,
list,
and then I'll put her at 3.
So Tony is like a unicorn in the game, as people say. Like he is such a strange factor of Survivor, not just because of his attitude and his paranoia and all this stuff, but because he won twice. This sort of person isn't supposed to win twice because he's such a fucking a barrel full of monkeys, a chicken with his head cut off, a chicken, damn, with his head cut off, as I said last week. But he's just so funny too. Like, just like the little moments, like in Game Changers, of course, there's I'm gonna go look for my idol. In, you think, the all this stuff in, like the concept of a spy shack, spy nest, all this stuff.
That's ingenious.
It's ingenious, but it's also just like only a crazy person is gonna think of this shit,
Yeah, I'd say Tony's crazy, not necessarily weird.
Oh, he's weird.
God.
I mean, I'm not upset with Tony being on the list. I think the weirdest thing about Tony is that he was able to win again.
Well, I mean, and the first time as well. Like if you look at the seasons before when Tony won, you're like, oh yeah, somebody like Tony can't win. I can't see. Sarah should be higher than Tony. Cody, for the podcast listeners, Cody's showing us a text from an unknown person. Who's that from?
His mom.
It's from my mom. Yeah, she loves Sarah Lincina.
No, who is that actually from?
That's from Nick, who does our logos.
Yeah, you and him. I feel like you created. Even though I've met Nick now, I feel like you created Nick as somebody to just agree with you all the time. He's like a weird science person that always agrees with Cody.
He's the 5th doctor out of 4 and 5. 4 and 5 doctors recommend.
We disagree a lot, but Joel brings us closer together. Honestly, like Joel, the things you've said on this podcast have been unforgivable. And
I most of the time agree with the Survivor population is what I've found, and you guys are the ones that are go away from me. I'm mostly positive.
Yeah, they all say Hayden's one of the top. Oh, number 1, he's our favorite.
Hey, I'm not saying I was parroting that, but I've certainly heard that from other people.
I have heard that a lot, and you know what? A lot of people believe in lots of wrong things.
I'm gonna pause the recording so I can go to the washroom.